This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLesio and Kenny Bergamy.
All right, time to have some fun. Ray DeLesio flying solo with you this week while Kenny B enjoys some well-deserved R&R. So, without further delay, let's go ahead and take a peek at what's coming up. First on the docket, it's the story of B&H Farms, a family-owned business best known for their 300 acres of Vidalia onions. Co-owner Ben Hilliard shares his passion for farming and the technology they use to maximize efficiency during harvest season. A tough growing season hasn't stopped Hartco Farms from harvesting a quality crop of broccoli. Owner Clay Sellers discusses the challenges of growing the temperamental plant and the importance of water and inputs. And then later, he's an 18-year-old entrepreneur with an incredible work ethic and a passion for animals and agriculture. But that is only the beginning. He's also a talented craftsman when it comes to building sustainable chicken coops. These stories and so much more right now on the Farm Monitor. It's officially Vidalia onion season, which means farms across southeast Georgia are now hard at work getting this world-famous product out of the field and onto the shelves. That includes the 2022 Grower of the Year, B&H Farms in Tattnall County, who says they were fortunate to even have a crop. Damon Jones has the story.
While they might raise chicken and cattle, as well as grow watermelons and other row crops during the summer, B&H Farms is best known for their 300 acres of Vidalia onions. And despite not growing up on a farm, it's an industry co-owner Ben Hilliard developed a passion for at an early age.
My dad was a forester and my mom worked for the Board of Education, and we actually lived in town until about my senior year in high school, which I've always had an interest in farming. I worked for a small tobacco farm when growing up, and then later became partners with that farmer's son. You know, that's how we got started. But as far as just my granddaddy, I guess back years ago, working in the garden, I guess I just, developed an appreciation for it and a passion, I guess, if you will.
And recently, he, along with his business partner Chase Brennan, were named the 2022 Grower of the Year by the Vidalia Onion Committee, thanks in large part to their commitment to new practices and technology.
We're extremely fortunate and blessed to be able to even be in the area to grow a Vidalia onion. Not everyone in the state gets to, and not only enjoy the process of growing these Vidalias, but also, in the hopes of being profitable. We have what we call AgSense on our pivots, which you can operate from a cell phone, which is extremely convenient. You can watch them during the middle of the night, or it tells you if you have an error or a problem. And with the labor issues, if you can just maximize your efficiency with your work through technology, it'll equate to a lot more time with your family.
However, that technology isn't much help during harvest, as Vidalia onions are considered one of the most labor-intensive crops, which results in some pretty long hours over the next few weeks.
It's pretty hectic time. It's pretty gratifying when you get finished. When we're in the heat of the battle, such as now, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of long hours, but when you're finished, it makes it all worth it. There's a huge amount of work. Everything's hand-clipped. We haul them in by trucks and, tractor trailers, and then obviously we go through our drying and packing process before it ever goes onto another truck and heads to the retailers or the customers.
However, you won't find any complaining, as this year's crop appears to be in good shape despite some less than ideal weather during growing season.
It's pretty good. We've had some pretty volatile, weather conditions. That early freeze around Christmas hurt us really bad from, a population standpoint per acre, but considering we're very blessed to even have what we have to pack and harvest this year.
That gratitude extends to the consumers, who are the main reason Hilliard puts in all the time and effort to grow Georgia's signature vegetable.
The most gratifying, to take, a seed, and get it to harvest and get it to a customer and then have positive feedback from that customer, hearing them how much they enjoyed and how much they, enjoyed grilling or fed their families and so forth.
Reporting from Tattnall County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Meantime, with watermelon season right around the corner, the Georgia Watermelon Association, along with reigning queen Charlie Lawless, made a stop at Sprouts Market in Smyrna recently. Their mission, educate customers on how to select the most ideal watermelon and, number two, spread the message that farmers in the industry deserve recognition and support.
While we're here, we're able to engage in conversations with customers that, you know, they may not think twice about, okay, let me just grab this watermelon and go home and eat it. Never think about, well, how did that watermelon get into my grocery store? I mean, I think today's consumer is more interested in now than ever about what that looks like and how they get a safe product to the grocery store.
Well, one thing about Georgia, its vegetable portfolio is vast and deep, including everyone's favorite, broccoli. Yeah, right. John Holcomb now with an update on this year's crop.
Down in southwest Georgia, it's time for some fresh broccoli, and operations like this one, Hartco Farms, are hard at work in the fields harvesting this year's crop. It's been a season full of hard work, but it's certainly paid off as they've grown a good quality crop they're certainly proud of.
I'd say at this point our yields are above average. We've really had a good growing season on this broccoli. Had it in years past, you know, where that thing probably got too cold, didn't quite get a big enough frame on it to produce quite the yield that we need. But I would say at this point right now we've had as good of a growing season as we could have had.
Even though Sellers says they had a great growing season, that doesn't mean it was an easy one, as Sellers says broccoli is a tough crop to grow, one that requires a lot of attention, especially when having to deal with the unpredictability of Mother Nature.
Broccoli is a very temperamental plant in South Georgia, as our seasons vary. A lot of heat and humidity in South Georgia. The growing season in the spring can vary from 60 to 90 days. The biggest thing with broccoli is the harvest interval. Whenever that thing gets ready, you've got to cut it. So some of that broccoli we'll end up cutting 4 times. We have cut it 5 in instances.
Sellers says one big factor when growing produce like broccoli is water and the availability to it. As Sellers says there are times when, if they didn't have irrigation, they wouldn't be able to grow a crop.
Our seasons, the way they are in South Georgia, you could be watering that broccoli 4 times a week, or you could be watering it 1. All depends on climate. We've tried soil moisture sensors in the past. Those things really, they're not as accurate as they would need to be in this instance, just because a lot of times we're watering that broccoli for maintenance to keep that plant from stressing. You know, and our soil moisture conditions could be high at that point, but that plant could be wilted because it's under heat and a lot of stress. So we'll use that water to ease the stress on the plant and to make it continue to produce a viable product.
According to Sellers, the biggest factor they've faced the last couple of years, however, is not weather-related at all. It's the cost of much-needed inputs that continue to rise when commodity prices remain stagnant.
Inputs absolutely are probably one of the biggest challenges we face. Fertilizer being number 1 in the last 2 years. I use a lot of rainbow homogenized fertilizer, and that stuff's up $300 a ton what it was 2 years ago. Nitrogen, same deal. I mean, right across the board, inputs in general are up. The problem we as producers face is the product we're selling has not increased at the same pace as the product we're buying. We're wholesaling and buying at retail.
Reporting in Moultrie for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
All right, John, thanks so much. After the break, the inspiring story of a young entrepreneur who is making a name for himself in the world of agriculture. His attention to detail and craftsmanship have earned him high praise from both his customers and his boss at Hillcrest Farms.
At Georgia Farm Bureau, we love to celebrate our members, which is why we're excited to announce a new partnership with Magnolia Loom, a proud Georgia-grown business that shares our values of supporting and promoting Georgia agriculture. For a limited time only, an exclusive collection of merchandise is available at magnolialoom.com for those who want to support the mission of Georgia Farm Bureau. This collection ends May 14th, so mark your calendars. To learn more about this partnership and how you can benefit, visit our social media pages or online at gfb.org.
Vidalia onions are world famous for their sweet, mild flavor. And there's only one place they grow, right here in Georgia. Did you know that Vidalia onions are the official state vegetable of Georgia? Let's find out what makes them so special. Vidalia onions are a hybrid variety called yellow Granax. Grown anywhere else, you get a regular yellow onion. But here, the combination of mild winter temperatures, plenty of rain, and unique soil make the Vidalia onion truly special. Sulfur in the soil makes most onions spicy and pungent. But plenty of rainfall helps to wash the sulfur from the sandy South Georgia soil to the clay below the surface. The result is a plump, mild, and sweet onion with high water content, another secret to the Vidalia onion's famous flavor. Growing onions is a year-round process. Transplants are planted in September, which is the end of the previous growing season. Once they become seedlings, these field-grown transplants are moved by workers into field rows where they will mature. South Georgia has mild short days in winter, which Vidalia onions need for early growth. There are 20 Georgia counties that grow genuine Vidalia onions. About 80,000 seedlings are planted per acre, and there are 12,000 acres of farmland. It takes a lot of workers to harvest Vidalia onions. They would clip the onions by hand and load them into trailers and transport them to be processed. The onions are sorted by size and weight, inspected for quality, and then they are boxed or bagged before they are sent to stores all over the country. Vidalia onions can be eaten raw or cooked with your favorite dishes. They are fat-free, cholesterol-free, and sodium-free food that provides a good source of vitamin C. Be sure to bring home sweet Vidalia onions the next time you go to the market.
All right, welcome back to the show. You know, in today's world, teenagers often get a bad rap. They're disrespectful, entitled, no work ethic whatsoever. However, the young man you're about to meet squashes those stereotypes. Not only does he understand the value of hard work, but he's also using his creativity to turn heads with a successful business. It's a story about breaking down stereotypes and showing that there are still plenty of young people out there who are making a positive impact on the world around them. Every morning just before 7 a.m., Eyob Needles arrives at his job at Hillcrest Farms. He cleans the milking parlors, feeds the calves, and never seems to take a break. Yes, Eyob has an abundance of energy and a work ethic that is hard to match. His passion for everything he does has earned Eyob high praise from Hillcrest Farms owner Mark Rogers.
You know, he took the time to ride up here to ask for a job in the rain on a bicycle. And so, you know, that's the first thing to catch your eye. He smiles all the time, just has that positive, upbeat attitude. And that helps a lot, too, when you're looking for a job. If somebody comes in and just really has that positive outlook on life, you're more prone to hire them.
It's probably coming from my parents, I think, because I know growing up, they were always really hard working to make sure that they could provide for us. And I think, you know, growing up with that, you can actually visibly see it as we grew up with them, that it starts to rub off on you, and then you start wanting to, you know, follow them in their footsteps with how their work ethics. Honestly, I sometimes think I have ADHD, so I can't sit still, so I want to put it to use the best I can. If I sit still too long, I end up just, you know, going out of my mind, so I go out and I try to figure something out to do, like, hey, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it the best I can, and I'll just work on it as long as I can, you know?
At 18 years old, Eyob acts and talks like a person who has been around agriculture his entire life. Truth is, he's a relative newcomer, just over 3 years in fact. When asked what he loves most about agriculture, he doesn't hesitate to answer.
Oh, definitely number one's the animals. I love animals so much. I mean, I'll spend as much time as I can in whatever free time I have with animals, like at our house or whenever I'm here. At the end of my shift, I'll clock out and then I'll go back to my favorite calf, Bella, and I'll kind of play with her a little bit. And then I'll go home and then I'll hang out with my puppies. We've got three Great Pyrenees, 2 of them are pups, but I'll hang out with them for the start of the day and then I'll go back to work with my other job.
But I just love the animals, and I love being outside, and I love working with my hands, and that's what agriculture provides you, is animals and outdoor work.
Did you catch what he said there? That other job? You see, by noon, Eyob's day has only just begun, even though it started at 7 a.m. For one, he's homeschooled, and just like every other teenager, he has to do his schoolwork before he can begin that other job, which is building chicken coops. But these chicken coops are not your average coops. Some would say they're architectural masterpieces.
Well, actually, it started with when we got chickens ourselves, and we needed a build real quick. So I threw one together out of pallet boards that we had. It was actually my brother-in-law worked at Thompson, and they had a lot of pallets, so we grabbed some of them and I threw some together. It was like 100% pallets. And I actually enjoyed it when I finished it, because I was like, wow, I made something out of junk, you know? But it turned out really well. So I built another one because we wanted another and we wanted more chickens. So when I built the second one, it was actually me and my dad built that one, and is actually the base design of this one.
Well, nowadays, he uses brand new pressure-treated wood. Still, he practices sustainability by recycling all the wood he uses and reselling it. His attention to detail and his craftsmanship are impeccable, and his chicken coops have become very popular.
Just the effort he goes to do a really good job and satisfy the customers that he's selling them to shows that he's aware of how to market things. So I like seeing that in any young person, to try to really do a good job and go beyond what is expected.
When I sell a coop, I'll even wait a couple weeks, and then I'll come back and message the buyer, and I'll ask them, is there anything wrong? Is there anything you want me to fix, or that I should fix for the next one? And I'll take their feedback and I'll apply it to the next build. So it started with pretty much nothing, and then it's built up to an actual business that I actually really enjoy to do, and I actually have grown into having all these different tools now, instead of just working with a hammer and a crowbar. But starting that way actually allowed me to understand it takes work and it takes dedication to actually build your way up.
Despite his busy schedule, Eyob is determined to succeed in all his endeavors. He also knows he has a bright future ahead of him, and he is willing to put in the hard work to make his dreams a reality. His passion for agriculture and his talent for carpentry make Eyob a valuable asset to his community, and he has already made a name for himself at such a young age.
He's going to be successful at whatever he does, and that's one thing we try to instill in all the young people here, is do a good job. That carries into any job you're ever going to do anywhere in society. So we're not necessarily thinking that they're going to dairy full-time when they leave here, and we hope some of them do stay. But some will go on to bigger and better things for them, and that's great. But we want to install that work ethic that they're going to need to succeed.
Incredible young man, that's for sure. Well, time to pay some bills, but up next, it's Extension Corner with Paul Pugliese. He reveals the secrets to reviving those sad-looking azaleas plagued by the pesky Azalea Lace Bug.
Hi, Paul Pugliese with the University of Georgia here. Today we're looking at azaleas. Every summer we get calls at the County Extension Office about some sad-looking azaleas. And boy, are these sad-looking azaleas here. If you take a good close look at the leaves on this plant, you can see that they have a very pale off-green color. The technical term for that is chlorosis. And chlorosis is literally the loss of chlorophyll from the leaves of that plant. And so chlorophyll is, again, that's a pigment that's in the plant that actually has that green color. It's used to capture sunlight for photosynthesis. So it's something that's really important for plants. But in this case, it's losing a lot of that color from the leaves. And so it's definitely going to be stressing that plant and making it weaker. You're probably not going to get a lot of flowers and blooms from an azalea like this. So this is something that we need to deal with. In this particular case, it's not a disease. It's actually an insect that causes this type of damage. The type of insect that we see here is called an Azalea Lace Bug. There are lots of different types of lace bugs that affect different plants, but this particular type of lace bug actually affects azaleas, rhododendrons, and pieris. Another name for that is Andromeda. Those are all shrubs that are kind of in the same family, and so this Azalea lace bug will attack all those types of plants. So in this particular case, the mature lace bugs have sort of a needle-like mouth part that sucks the sap out of the leaves, and over time you're going to see this sort of off-green color because of that. These azaleas lace bugs can have as many as 4 generations per season. So even if you did a treatment, sometimes they can come back in the same season. There's a lot of different treatment options that we have. We have what are called contact sprays, things like insecticidal soap and horticultural oils that you can spray up underneath the foliage. As long as you make contact with the insects under the foliage, you will actually kill those by smothering them with those soaps and oil type products. Another one that's used as a contact product is an orthene product. You can get that at a lot of garden centers. Under the active ingredient is acephate, and that's another good contact product, but that doesn't have very long residual activity, and it's something that you would have to continue to respray throughout the summer if this continues to be a problem. One of my favorite options for treating lace bugs is systemic products. And these systemic products usually have the active ingredient imidacloprid or dinotefuran. There's several different brands on the market, and you can get these at most garden centers. Will have this product, and it's very easy to apply it. That's one of the things I love about this. You mix it up in a watering can and you drench it right under the plant, literally by pouring it on. Of course, when you do that, you want to make sure you wear gloves to protect your hands from pesticides. Be sure to read and follow the label for any safety precautions and what the application rate is when you're applying this. And again, once you mix that concentrate up into your watering can, you literally just water that into the plant, and it's absorbed by the roots. And within a couple of weeks, that'll actually be moving up into the leaves of that plant and provide protection for the rest of the season. And you may only have to do that once a year. One of the things to think about when you're using a systemic insecticide is make sure you have a good layer of pine straw or mulch underneath that plant to discourage any bees or other pollinators that like to nest in the ground, because we don't want to hurt our bees and pollinators. But otherwise, those are one of the safer products to use. The soap and oil products are going to be low toxicity to bees and other pollinators as well, so those are good options. So again, just be careful when you use that. Never spray or make direct contact with the flowers when you're using any pesticides, because again, we want to protect our pollinators. And again, this is something that you may have to do once a year to protect that plant, usually starting out in the spring, and the key is protecting the new foliage as soon as it comes out. So if you have any questions about azaleas or anything in your landscape, you can always call your local county extension office at 1-800-ASK-UGA1. You can go to our website at ugaextension.com and continue to follow us on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Paul, thanks so much. And to you, the viewers, thanks for spending time with us. For Kenny Burgamy and everyone here at the show, I'm Ray D'Alessio. Stay safe and have a great week.